Hello, in England, I'm going to do Chinese pottery and then move on to some Japanese stuff as well. I'm not an expert in Chinese pottery or Japanese pottery, far from it, but if you're not a scholar or an academic or a real expert or a very professional collector, you have to make basic assumptions to decide what to buy. The first tip I would give you is divide the pottery between housewares and decorative items. So if you have a vase or a tulip holder or a bud vase, it's a decorative item. If you have a tureen or a teapot or cup or plate or charger, it's housewares, it's tableware, it's servingware, it's domesticware. And in the trade, I found fundamentally, this is since my father explained it to me 40 years ago, I always used to question why plates were dirt cheap and vases of the same size were more money. That is the reason. The tableware is cheaper. If you're buying cargo tableware, Nanking wreck stuff covered from the seabed, there's mountains of it. There are little dishes which are so cheap, 20, 30 pounds each. It defies logic. They could be 18th century or earlier, but they're tableware items and there are lots made and they're not, as I say, special things. They're special intrinsically because they're old and nice and they're interesting and they're fascinating. But rather like this tureen, it's from China. It was made for a house in England in the 18th century. It's fascinating, it's interesting, but it's not a vase, it's not a decorative item. So this keeps the price down. So I don't mind buying plates, I don't mind buying tureens. Yes, it'd be nice to have a vase the same size, but the tureen's pretty good too. This tureen is Qianlong, which is who was an emperor for most of the 18th century. So this is 18th century, probably 1750 to 1800. And they are not uncommon. These things are not uncommon. If you put this image into Google Lens, you will find identical ones. You will find ones with shaped sides, square sides. You will find them with a better foot. You'll find them with a different knob, different trim. So this is a type of tureen which flooded in from China to England. It would have gone, of course, elsewhere in Europe as well. And so if you go and look for them, you will be able to find lots of them. The decoration is not transfer. This is the thing. It looks like transfer, but it's not. If you look carefully at each panel, the leaves are different and the individual strands of the flowers are different. They've obviously used a guide, a piece of tissue paper or something, I don't know what, to get the basic shape, but they are hand painted, they're not transfer. And the reason I mention transfer is there is a company which made similar things called Victoria Ironstone in China. And they use this blue-white glaze. There's blue and white, but the white itself is bluish. And to the untrained eye, Victoria Ironstone looks antique. And they have a lovely seal on the bottom, and they have all these lovely jugs and shapes and foot baths, etc. And they're very heavy, and they apply a brown stain to make them look dirty. So this was missed locally in England because people assumed it was Victoria Ironstone, which is this reproduction stuff which is all over the place as well. So this one is not Victoria Ironstone, it's the real thing. It's Qianlong, it's tureen, it's from the 18th century. And another fundamental tip is if you feel it, it does feel like orange peel. But the problem, of course, is this reproduction of Victoria Ironstone also has that same sort of feeling, not quite as good as this. This was fired in a wood-fired kiln, and you can see from the way it's put together, the environment was gritty and grubby and hurried. You'll find often on the bottom there's bits of firing to try to stuck to it, which is an endearing quality. You'll find spills and bits of grot within the glaze. They're inherent flaws, they're firing defects. So you've got this tureen. It would have been made in China, chucked on carted and floated to a port. It would have been put onto a known licensed trading boat. It would have come back in the hold of a ship wrapped in straw. And there will have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them the same as this from that craftsman, and within the area there would have been hundreds of thousands of them that came to England. and it would have stood on a sideboard in an English house, a serving sideboard, a buffet, a pedestal sideboard. It would have stood on a dining table, mahogany dining table. It would probably have a charger underneath it, possibly a tray sort of thing, and it may well have been in a set of 8, for example. There would have been 4 big ones, there would have been 6 smaller ones, there would have been gravy boats, gravy saucers, ladles, plates, jugs, you name it. There would have been probably a lot, and it's unlikely someone in a Georgian house with money is going to go into a shop and buy one, though often this stuff wasn't bought in shops, it was ordered in advance from directories or catalogues. So I think they're nice things. This one's got a pomegranate knob, which is a common knob. It's got the pippy open side, it's got the spiky end of the fruit. It is a pomegranate, it can be nothing else. This one has got a lovely border. The underside of the lid has got no glaze, it's ground off, it's rough. It's got one line of gilding on the edge, and there is considerable wear and scratches which help it look old and help it look not like a repro version. There's no mark, signature characters, whatever. If it was a Victoria Ironstone one, it would say so. And the Victoria Ironstone ones are sort of semi-looking like Mason's Ironstone, which did carry a mark, which were an early manufacturer of English stuff, who themselves were mimicking Chinese pottery. The base has got boar heads. Some people say rabbit heads. The side has got panels which show a hare. Some people will say mouse, probably a hare. You've got some rocks, you've got chrysanthemums or peonies, you've got a prunus tree, you've got a finch, a bird, and it's the same on both sides. It's a handsome thing. The trim here matches the lid. It's a handsome item, and though it's not a vase, you can stick it on a shelf, and that thing will look great. There is some damage on this item. The damage is nice damage, meaning it's arisen from age and possibly use. The handle here has got a crack underneath on the inside. It's a sort of hairline crack, which is stained. And the lid, has it got any damage? No, the lid hasn't got any damage, but it's got these bubbles that I would describe as inherent firing flaws. The heads have got holes inside them, which stop the head from exploding in the firing the kiln, and also the pomegranate has got a hole in the side. These will be hollow. They possibly were made in a mould and a slip, I'm not sure. In fact, I'm not sure how this is made. I think it probably was made in a plaster mould, probably. Unlikely, I think, to have been potted because of the oval shape. So this will be selling in England for £300 or £400. If it was not damaged at all, it would be £800. The prices of these are going to go one way. A lot of it's going back to China, as we all know. The problem for them is that reproductions undermine them. But given this is a big lump, imposing, I'm really pleased that I bought that item. Next one. Next we go to Japan. This one is a Japanese plate. It is amari. There are different amaris. This is white amari. It's blue and white, but we call it in England white amari. It's big. It's a charger. It is a plate, decorative plate to a table or a sideboard. They would have put fruit on it or whatever, possibly another plate in the centre, or stood something on it, possibly on a sideboard. It is this is not necessarily for use, but it is a household shape. It is a plate, a charger. It's got a lovely size, a scalloped edge. It's got a painted back. It's got these lovely little holders, which were for pins to hold it off the base of the shelf in the kiln. Quite unusual to see so many of those pinholes. There's 6 of them, which is strange. The decoration is there's no gold on it, which is correct. There are birds. There is a prunus tree or a thorn of some sort, And you have these characteristic panels. Date, I would say, there's two dates in my mind. There's what I want it to be, and there's what it probably is, and there is always a difference. If I was really trying to sell it, I would say it's mid-Victorian, but it's not going to be mid-Victorian. It could be mid-Victorian. I think it's going to be 1910, 1920. And if an expert said to me, oh, Robert, it's not 1920, it's 1940, I would say fair enough. But the problem is you can't really easily date them unless they're marked. I think if I was selling that, I would say late Victorian or Edwardian. And the fact it's this side of 1900 or as opposed to the other side of 1900 doesn't make any difference to the price, it doesn't really matter. It rings true, there's no damage, there's only one thing wrong with it. It has got a very small inherent firing defect in the rim, and it's tiny. It's a hairline there, that's inherent, that would have been there when it was made. It's quite flared, it's not a low plate. It's got a lovely texture, not quite orange peel, but it has a lovely lumpy texture, and there are spots and bits of grit in the glaze. So this wasn't sort of particularly refined. It was made en masse, and again, hundreds of thousands of these came to England, hundreds of thousands of them at a time. We're going to do a cachepot. It is a vase which in England would have been used for putting a plant pot in. There's no drainage holes. It is crudely made out of porcelain, probably slip cast, out of liquefied pottery. I think looking at the inside, it was made in two halves and then stuck together. And because there's a join around the middle, it's ribbed, it's nice, it's small. There's no gold in it though, which is a problem. That's really a carp bowl shape they used to keep in China. I'm thinking of particularly used to keep fish in these things, big ones, not these size. These have carp bowls, fish bowls, which were not glass, they were pottery. And that to me is a carp bowl shape. So that would be 1890 to 1940, I would suggest, worth £30. We're going to do another bowl. This is a housewares bowl. This is very ordinary, 1920 to 1960. No gold on it. A hairline crack. It does ring well, but I'm surprised it rings as well as it does. There is a hairline crack. That could be almost certainly the transfer, which means it's more basic. This is the same sort of design. It's got the same transfer-like design. It has got hand-painted back on it. It is scalloped. It is ribbed and shaped. It has got a nice texture. But there were so many of them. Again, I would say there were millions of these imported to England of various sizes and designs in that era. Worth £5 to £10. We go up a notch now. We go to, here's another one. Also slightly worn. The glaze is worn and rubbed. We'll go up to another one. That's the same, another one. And then we go up a notch. This is slightly better. Nice back on it again. This one has got no gold again. This one's got no gold again. It's small. It's an ordinary housewares plate. £10 to £20 on a good day. The next one is proper Amari. This one's got gold. This is what you really want to try and get. Gold flowers, gold trim, detailed panels. It screams quality. It's a little bit cleaner. That one, you can buy them in auctions in England for £20, £30 if you're patient. I think that because it's got gold, because it's bigger, because the quality's better, I'm quite happy to hang on to that one. There are an awful lot around, don't make no mistake, there's a lot of them around. That's nice enough for a wall. It's a nice object. I think that's worth hanging on to. Well, I've given you some comments and tips. You can still buy 18th century Chinese pottery. I think it's a great investment. I mean, I like English pottery as well, but I really do quite like the Chinese pottery. The whole blue and white English thing, willow pattern, transfers from the 18th century, basically made to copy these types of thing. So in England, you'll see some Chinese pottery, you'll see some Holland Delft pottery, Dutch pottery, which looks like this. You'll see some English pottery that looks like this, and then you'll see an awful lot of blue and white willow pattern made in England with transfers, which looks like that as well. Okay, hope I'm confused you. Good luck with your hunting for pottery. Unfortunately, condition's quite important, and look very carefully in minute detail to the products. It's very hard to see breaks if you're in a hurry. Okay, thank you.